Welcome back to Morgan's video blog, Morgan's online blog in video format. Today, I'm here to share with you cubicle versus studio, the pros and cons of office work and creative work. Now, 9 to 5s get a bad rap. But just as there are tons of benefits to working on your own projects, there are obvious benefits to the 9 to 5. Even beyond being part of a capitalist society. Now, clearly, there are companies where these 6 benefits aren't in play. And in that case, your company is probably not a healthy one. You should polish your resume and get out. Or you're just not actually working a 9 to 5 job, in which case you need to decide if this is the right job for you. But all that aside, let's talk about the 6 benefits of the daily grind. Benefit 1, healthcare or insurance. If you live outside the US, this might not be such a big deal, but if you work full-time, which is 36 hours a week or more, in the States at a single job, your company subsidizes your health insurance. Buying your own insurance on the open market starts at like $500 a month and only goes up. And most of that only covers like catastrophic cancer, car accidents. It's not going to cover like tests or a lot of chronic conditions and medications and stuff. A lot of that is going to be barely just at the negotiated rate and a lot of money out of your pocket. Now, when you're a creative or otherwise self-employed, that insurance is coming out of your pocket, not your employer's. Or you have to find a spouse and use their insurance. The second benefit to the daily grind, regular paychecks. You know when payday is, it comes regularly and you know how much you're going to get. Plus, taxes are already taken out of it and you only have to file once at the end of the tax year. Rather than creatives and otherwise self-employed, that paycheck comes when you finish a contract, complete and deliver it to your customer, assuming you can get them to pay up how much they owe you. And sometimes that can be a challenge. Plus, you have to do quarterly taxes, at least in the US, and you have to take out Social Security, and there's a lot of paperwork when you're self-employed. So, third benefit to the daily grind is known tasking. At your 9 to 5, you know you're working on the right thing, or at least the thing your boss wants you to work on. If you're at a good company, you know what they want and how they want it. At my 9 to 5 job, I write code. I'm told what to code and what language to code in. But if you're not working the grind, you gotta be hustling. You're either out there trying to convince someone to buy what you're making, or you're looking for someone who needs your skills and using them on whatever project they're willing to pay for. Number 4, benefits to the daily grind, objectives. What? When you're given tasking at a 9 to 5 job, assuming it's run properly, you know what the task is for and what it needs to do and what it needs to look like. At my 9 to 5 task, when I get a task, I'm given requirements, things that my code must do and things it should not allow. I know when it's working and when it's not. With my writing, it can be more subjective. Which leads us into number 5, benefit to a day job. Set endpoints. At a 9 to 5, you know when you finished a task. Either your boss stops asking for you to fix it, you hit the deadline, or maybe it's just a regular task that you do, but you know when it's been accomplished. For me, at my day job, I have due dates and I have tests that my code must pass. Once it passes those tests and or that deadline, I'm done and I need to move on to my next task. When you're a creative, you work on something until you think you have it or until you can't stand to look at it anymore and then you try to sell it, or have someone else take a look, or put it in a closet and hide it from the light of day for the rest of your life. Some people get caught in the endless trap of revisions or repainting if you're an artist, or tweaking their project if they're like building stuff and never finishing. So when you're working for yourself, especially if you're like a perfectionist, it can be really hard to know when to stop and step away. And the final benefit of a 9 to 5, you are done when you go home. The biggest change for me when I graduated from school and started the working world is once I left, I was done. There was no homework. Now, there are plenty of jobs out there that have people on call and companies with poor work-life balance, but for a standard 9 to 5 job, when you're done, you'll walk out that door and you don't need to do a thing until you walk back in the morning. This doesn't mean there aren't bosses that call you at home. These are bad bosses. But when you're a creative or otherwise self-employed, your day is never done. You're always working or thinking about working or thinking you should be working on your project. Your life and your work bleed together until you can't separate them. Now, that said, clearly I wouldn't be here blogging if I thought the 9 to 5 was the end-all and be-all of the working world. Let's talk about the benefits of being a creative beyond the hustle. So, benefit number 1 when you're a creative is you answer to yourself. No one else is telling you what to do, when to do it, and what time to show up. Secondly, you work on what you love. Most of us who are creatives or otherwise self-employed are working on a passion project. We might not love every stage of it. We might hate what it looks like right now, but we're working on something we want to see in this world, and we're hoping that we're the right person to make it work. And we're clearly doing it for something other than money. Thirdly, benefit of being a creative is you decide on your own tasking. At that 9 to 5, I might get to pick between projects A and B, or even propose project C and have the company decide to go for it. But usually, they tell you to jump and you ask, how high? When you're in charge, you can decide project A is boring and switch to project B. And if you get stuck on project B, take a break, work on project C for a while. You are the creative spark, the final say on what your finished project, be it art or writing or some sort of product. When whatever you're working on, you get to decide what it looks like, and you get to decide when it's done. Number 4, when you're a creative, deadlines are what you make of them. Well, unless you're under contract, but even then, they can be a little flexible. If you're not happy with your work, you can pull it apart and start over. I mean, if you're selling something on Amazon or Etsy, you might worry about the hit to the delivery date, but hey, I've got some Kickstarters that are 5 years overdue, and I'm still excited about them. So it depends on your customer. Another benefit of being a creative is you get to set your own hours. You get to work when you feel most productive. Okay, that's probably a lie. You get to work when you can fit it in around your life. But if you're doing this instead of a 9 to 5, instead of alongside it, your schedule can be more flexible. And the final benefit of being a creative, instead of the daily grind, the successes are all yours. When/if you hit it big, all the profit, all the fame, all the whatever is yours. You'll know that you've made it on your own, and all that external validation belongs to you. So, those are my pros and cons of office life versus creative life. Now, I do have a soft spot for predictability and stability. I'm a homebody, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid to take chances. These days, I'm working both gigs, one by day for pay, one by night to write. But I'm never going to be the one to say that a 9 to 5 job is the wrong choice for you. It's not a soul-sucking, destroying thing unless you let it be. Do you work a 9 to 5, a creative self-employment gig, both or neither? Let me know. Let me know if it was a decision or just something that happened, if you feel comfortable sharing. And do you think bad management gives the 9 to 5 a harsher rap than it deserves? Clearly, I do, otherwise this blog post wouldn't exist. But let me know in the comments below. As always, please subscribe if you enjoyed this post. Share it on social media with all your friends. And tune in again next week for more writing tips and writerly musings. Bye-bye.